It is getting really expensive and really unappealing to upgrade your PC at home. So today we're gonna look at a way you can upgrade for free.
And we're gonna do so at the most extreme scenario possible. A $166 gaming PC can changing your operating system from Windows 11 to a modified version of Windows 11 give you more FPS for free? For free? Yeah, we're gonna talk about that after a word from today's sponsor.
Newegg's Love for Tech sale is officially here, and it's a great time to show your PC some love. Whether you're building a full gaming PC or upgrading your current build, there's some crazy good deals featured on Newegg every single day. From components like graphics cards to CPU, motherboard, and RAM combos, which are personally my favorite, Newegg has some of the lowest prices on all things tech, especially right now. If your PC is already in good shape, the Love for Tech sale has tons of other tech accessories that are down to their lowest prices to date. From really good deals on peripherals like monitors and headsets, to even networking and more. With rapidly fluctuating prices with the whole PC market, now is the perfect time to get in on these really nice deals. So check out Newegg's Love for Tech deals today by using the links in the description down below. Big thanks to Newegg for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to it.
So let's talk about this PC that you guys see on the table. We actually got this on eBay for $129. This is a Dell Optiplex 7040 with 8 gigs of single channel DDR4 RAM, a 256 gig SSD, and then we dropped in an RX 462 gig for an extra $37.
And for $166, this PC should be fine to play esports titles at lower settings, even though again, the 460, only 2 gigs of VRAM, that i7 is still decent, but a bit older, and the single channel 8 gigs of memory is really what makes this video interesting, because the biggest problem we have with Windows 11, and a lot of people in the community have with Windows 11, is it does hog a bunch of resources, specifically system memory. And when you only have 8 gigs of memory in Windows 11, it is not uncommon for you to launch into Windows and already be using half of that before you do anything else.
So rather than having to go the Linux route, which is a good option, we have a lot of videos on that on the channel, we're going with a modified Windows route, which actually makes it to where you can still play all of those same games that you would normally be able to play on Windows, and it gets rid of a lot of the background tasks that you just don't need and that you don't care about.
Now in this video, the way we're going to run the test are as follows. This PC, when we configured it, we got everything put together and booted it up, actually came with Windows 10 pre-installed, which isn't really ideal because Windows 10 support is no more. So just for the fun of it, I did run a benchmark with 3D Mark, which we'll talk about towards the end of the video, just to see if there's a difference between Windows 10, Windows 11, and this modified install. But we went ahead and installed Windows 11 25H2 to this PC, got everything booted up and ran some benchmarks. We tested a bunch of different games that we'll be going over side by side, and our Let's Play style where Jackson and I dive into some live action gameplay. The Let's Play games are Fortnite and Arc Raiders. Believe it or not, Arc Raiders will run on this PC. Will Windows help at all? We're gonna see, but we will introduce the benchmark results we got for Windows 11 before we test it on the modified Windows install we are using on this PC, and that install we are using is SapphireOS.
Now, we're not gonna actually show you in this video exactly how to install SapphireOS and Windows and all that stuff, because we actually have some really good videos on the channel already on how to do all that. But simply put, you're basically making a bootable USB, just like if you were making a Windows 11 install that you can actually get straight from Microsoft's website.
So to not waste any more time so you guys can see if there is a difference installing this modified USB on a budget PC like this, we're gonna jump straight into testing the games in SapphireOS and compare it to our Windows 11 results. Will it make a difference at all, or is our hardware just too old? We're gonna find out. All right guys, so first game we're gonna be testing is Fortnite, and we're starting on the menu here so we can show you guys the settings and then also show you guys what the numbers look like with standard Windows 11 first before we dive into the game. So 1080p, unlimited frame rate, performance mode, which is important, far view distance and low textures. Now before looking at the numbers, on standard Windows 11, all drivers, 25H2, ready to go. We got an average of 73 FPS, the 1% low of 11. We did drop on Lethal Labs, which is where we're going to go on zero build once again, and we'll reference back to that footage every so often for this Let's Play. Now, this is not going to be a perfect side-by-side, but the biggest thing we're going to look at is that RAM usage, which before, as you can see on screen, almost maxed out, 7.5 gigs of RAM of the 8 that we have. In the menu right now, it's looking a little better, but we're not in game, so we'll see what that ends up looking like when we load in, if SapphireOS will make a difference at all. All right, guys, we are in Fortnite now, dropping into Lethal Labs, and again, look at our GPU, 100% usage, CPU's hitting 100% at times, RAM usage around 7 gigs, so pretty close to what we were looking at before. It's not going to change anything dramatic, but the goal is hopefully these optimizations at least alleviate some of the random stuff in the background of Windows 11 to potentially free up the limited resources we have. Because we did test this video with a more mid-range PC. We saw a difference. There was a difference, but it realistically was one of those where it was like, you know, is it really worth going through all that effort? Because it wasn't a difference that made a whole lot of sense for people. But on lower end PCs, can we get stuff from being unplayable to playable? That's what we're looking for. And when we had pretty stuttery experience before, I think this will be a good test to see. Let's go ahead and page up. and run around.
It's looking a lot better. I would say this technically is our second drop.
It's the second drop. The Windows one, we did do 2 drops too.
Oh, good, okay.
Yeah, we definitely did 2 drops. So just for verification, we did do 2 drops because, well, yeah, there was a lot of stutter happening. So that was a double drop as well. And
old Fortnite, man.
Old Fortnite is just getting a bit more out of it.
It looks better so far.
It does look better. Everything's loading in nicely.
It seems like RAM usage is getting pretty close to the same. So really it's just, is the CPU and GPU able to breathe a little bit more with less background tasks?
It does seem like the RAM usage, yeah, is a little bit lower. Not nearly, oh goodness.
About what, a quarter of a gig?
It's a bad idea. I was gonna die.
Dude, they're running you down.
Oh,
Dang,
no.
That thing does some damage.
Oh goodness, there's more people too. Oh. Yeah, no, this is looking
It does look a lot better so far.
good amount better, which is cool to see because with all these extra, well, modifications and stuff we're doing, it can kind of seem kind of like fool's gold at times. You're like, is that really helping that much? And on higher end hardware or mid-range hardware, it can be kind of redundant, maybe help you get higher highs and less like 1% low drops. But seeing these averages actually higher, it's a pretty cool sign to see.
Yeah, it makes it to where it's kind of like the whole thing, which technically this hardware is not even supported of Windows 11.
No.
But that's what's kind of cool. And by the way, there is plenty of ways you can get Windows 11 normal on this older hardware. But these are cool options too. Like you can get, Sapphire. What was the other popular one?
Hello?
Is it X-Lite?
Windows X-Lite was the other one we tested.
Another popular one that you can get in Windows 11 flavor and you can install it on about anything.
Yeah, and this is getting good averages. Now again, another game we did line up the test, and also you can still see there are some texture bugs happening, which I've noticed anytime you use 8 gigs of RAM in Fortnite, there's just some stuff in the distance, even you run far view distance like we are, it won't load in all the way until you run up to it, which, it's just saving resources. That's what Fortnite is aiming to do here. And I'm gonna run around more so stuff loads in a little bit, get a little more chunking going on here. You see these barrels aren't loaded in all the way. Now they're loaded in. It seems like they do that with barrels a lot. There's items sitting on the ground that don't really matter too much. The performance mode of Fortnite is doing a really good job, but it also does seem like SapphireOS is giving us the resources to where this PC can actually, stretch its legs a little bit. And only 2 gigs of VRAM on the GPU. CPU, it looks a little bit more chill. I think every time we test a 6700, or even like one of those 4-core 4 threads, that's obviously gonna be way worse. We do tend to see that CPU pinged at 100% all the time, but this one seems to have a little bit of breathing room to have a little bit multitasking support.
It's nice though how cheap these systems are getting too.
Yeah, and this is a $166 PC. This is cheap. This is really cheap for a Fortnite machine, getting up and running. We're under console pricing, which is cool. Albeit a console is going to look better and probably not have many issues. It's still a PC, you get the PC experience. But hey, back and forth, I'm just going to end it right here. I did run this even a little bit longer than the other one, but the averages are better.
Yeah.
97 average, 1% low of 50. Before we were 77 with a 1% low below 10. Too many stutters that we couldn't deal with. Looking pretty good. Now let's try a more GPU-bound game, Arc Raiders, and let's talk about how it ran on Windows 11 first.
All right, so we're now in Arc Raiders, and we're going to verify settings. We got 720p, limited frame rate, and we are running TAAU with manual. So basically we're just running 100%, no upscaling. Honestly, upscaling would probably be a mess on this. Max FOV, no ray tracing, and low settings.
Yep, and the averages last time, we got an average of 58 with a 1% low of 42. We did practice range, I know, boring, but we try to keep this as consistent as possible. And I'll be curious to see what happens here because we were actually getting an okay experience in practice range, more playable than I thought it would be. But can this fix in Windows alleviate what clearly is a massive GPU bottleneck?
And from what I've seen in the practice range, it's not too far off from the actual gameplay. It's smaller, so obviously if you're loading large maps, you're gonna get more stutters in the practice range, but the average FPS is about the same.
130 FPS, call it. And here we go.
Right, here we go. Notice that before I didn't really see ever getting over 60, so that's a start.
Wow.
Bam.
We're actually, so far, I mean, it's not dramatic, but 2 to 3 FPS difference. We'll keep going here. I basically just kept shooting at stuff. Running through.
I think the 1% is better by a good amount, right, so far?
Yeah, we had 42, so it's up to 48.
These are, when you're looking at such low numbers, it's a pretty big percentage difference, And
it is also the difference, too, of below 60 FPS to a little bit over 60 FPS, where it's actually a constant smooth experience.
higher highs.
Wow, this is the one where I went into this thing like I wouldn't even been surprised if it was lower. Like I kind of went in thinking, yeah, there's a chance it might be lower or the same, but not dramatic. But that 1% low just keeps going up. We're at 50.
It does keep going up.
49.
Yeah, I wonder if I don't really know how far are you. I think kind of stuck to this area, so I'll try to stay to that as well. But it does appear to be different. And this is, I remember when we did that really high-end PC or mid-range PC, this was really the test I was more curious about is, I'm like, at the end of the day, there's people putting Linux on 5090 PCs. I'm like, realistically, do you really need to do that? You're already getting crazy FPS. But like on these PCs, which I know is really a majority of our audience, people on cheap builds, I want them to not have to struggle, you know, and this could be a way to not have to struggle.
And it looks like it is going to give somebody a little bit more frames, even at 720p. 63 average, 1% low of 48, that's an improvement of about 5 FPS on average, and 1% low is about 6.
That's a few percentage right there.
That is a few percentage points, but we didn't stop the testing here, obviously. These are just our quick little Let's Play benchmarks so you guys can see what things look like. We did also do side-by-side testing. We ran a bunch of other games that are more esports focused so you guys can see if you have a PC like this, can you get 100 plus FPS in the game that you wouldn't before? Well, we're gonna run those side by side, compare those, and then we'll have a clearer picture of SapphireOS on a dirt cheap PC. Is this free upgrade worth it for you at home? So far, it might be. All right, guys, now it's time to do a little more side-by-side benchmarks to further test to see is SapphireOS really helping out our $166 PC. Well, we decided to test a few more games. That is CS2, Rainbow Six X, and also run 3D Mark Time Spy, which just for the fun of it, I got a score from Windows 10 to throw in, and the results were very interesting. We'll talk about that in just a second. But first up, we're gonna start with CS2, 1080p low settings. With Windows 11, we end up with an average of 143.3 FPS with a 1% low of 84, while with SapphireOS we got a slight improvement on the averages and 1% low with an average of 145.8 and a 1% low of 86.3. Honestly, 2 frames here is within margin of error. It's one of those where I don't necessarily think there really was a major difference between the two, but based on the other tests we've seen so far, you could say confidently that there is an improvement, but maybe CS already having 100 plus FPS, you're not going to notice it nearly as much. Next up, Rainbow Six X, 1080p low settings. On Windows 11, we got an average of 88 FPS, a minimum of 74, and a max of 99, while with SapphireOS, we got an average of 89 FPS, a minimum of 75, and a max of 100. Once again, a difference, albeit 1 FPS on average, so I'd chalk this up to being not a major difference whatsoever. This is kind of what I thought I would see with some of the other games we tested, where the hardware is just what the hardware is, and no OS optimization is going to help it too much, but at least in the games that have good performance modes like Fortnite that really can utilize older hardware better, giving it as much resources as you can will allow it to stretch its legs a little bit more. And while Rainbow Six doesn't seem to be one of those games, it is a good test to show that there are games out there that will benefit from an OS like this that gives you more resources. And lastly, 3D Mark Time Spy. We ran 3 different OSs here. Once again, Windows 10, which was pre-installed in this PC when it showed up, Windows 11, and SapphireOS. And the results were very interesting, with Windows 10 coming out on top with an overall score of 1,818, a GPU score of 1,660, and a CPU score of 3,977, while Windows 11 was actually last here with a score of 1,416, a GPU score of 1,272, and a CPU score of 3,964, and SapphireOS coming right in the middle. Whoa, that's a line. And lastly, SapphireOS slotting right in the middle with a score of 1,616, a GPU score of 1,462, and a CPU score of 4,013. So it looks like our CPU is able to perform a little bit better in 3D Mark Time Spy on SapphireOS, but the one that stood out really weird to me was the overall score being better in Windows 10. I guess this test being older probably just runs better on Windows 10, and these score differences aren't amazingly dramatic, but it is a 200-point difference across the board, which is very interesting to see, and a difference that should be noted based on what operating system makes the most sense for your hardware. Now, by popular demand, we have a graph here to show you guys everything all together so you can pause and look at all the data and see what the difference actually is, but it does seem like SapphireOS on a budget PC makes a whole lot of sense, and even if you're not using it just for gaming, just general responsiveness using the operating system, SapphireOS just felt a lot snappier with limited resources than standard Windows 11, and there's a lot of different ones that you can try as well, especially if you don't want to go down the Linux rabbit hole, which, as Jackson mentioned in the beginning of this video, will severely limit you in what games you can play. Older hardware can get some life with a modified version of Windows 11, and SapphireOS, at least on this PC, seems like it does make a difference. It might be something to consider to get a free upgrade to your current older PC without doing any hardware changes. So that was fun, a lot of testing, a lot of results. Let's bring Jackson back in here and wrap this video up.
That was actually a pretty cool test, seeing the difference between Windows 10, Windows 11, and then of course SapphireOS, and we can comfortably say there is actually a pretty big difference. It looks like if you're a gamer that's balling on a budget, you maybe don't have the money right now to upgrade RAM, GPU, stuff like that. If you want to get a little more performance, some higher lows, and also some higher averages, check out SapphireOS.
And in terms of a free upgrade option, it literally is a free way to get more FPS, which in this market is actually pretty cool to see. But if you did have a little bit of money to spend and you're watching this video, I would definitely recommend looking at the RAM upgrade first, especially if you're rocking single channel 8 gigs, because I think that's where a lot of the stuttering came in with some of the games we tested. Now, yes, the RX 460 would be the next upgrade because it is an older GPU with only 2 gigs of VRAM. Looking at the used market for like a 1650 or a 3056 gig, the big thing is you just need a graphics card that doesn't require external power. You can pop it into one of these Optiplexes and get even more performance on top of adding SapphireOS, making this a really good combo that you can still get a lot of value out of, especially in esports titles. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Have you tried one of these modified Windows installs on your PC at home? Do you have a budget build, a higher end build? And if you want to try it yourself today, and maybe it is your first time trying it, check the links down below. You can look into SapphireOS and other installs that we do recommend you try from previous videos we tested.
And as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
So this PC will be for sale at PCBros.tech, and we actually have pretty similar builds to this one here for a little bit more money or a little bit less money.
PC Bros, building a PC might not be for you, so maybe you want to get one with good customer support and a warranty to back it. PC Bros is the way to go. Use code ToastyBros on checkout. You will save 3% on your next purchase. See you guys later. Goodbye.